Hey guys, I'm Brian.
And I'm Mrs. Brian.
Or Sarah, as most of you know her, and we're Khaki Shorts. And today we're going to tell you about how we met. Stick around for this kind of weird story.
A little bit.
A little bit. So we're Khaki Shorts, where we do travel, food, and just utter nonsense.
Right, and how we met.
And how we met. So how did we meet, Mrs. Brian?
I accidentally signed up for Match.com. I was kind of messing around. I kind of stumbled on your post.
And I had signed up for Match.com. By the way, we are not sponsored by Match.com, just in case you guys want to sponsor us.
Nor are we endorsing them.
Yeah, nor are we endorsing them. We just both happened to kind of stumble onto it. And so I had actually been on it and gone on a couple of dates, but of course, really nothing worked out. So she stumbled on my portfolio? What is it called? Profile. She had stumbled on my profile, and I saw her profile, and the thing that I really liked was her picture of her and her daughter, and she had spinach on her teeth.
You're not going to put it on the video.
No, I'm not going to put it on the video.
That would be pretty funny though.
What do you want me to put it on the video? Anyway, so I saw that, and I'm like, this girl's got a sense of humor, and I had been really wanting to do a lot of travel and international travel, and she had already done some of that and wanted to do more.
You said something about you wanting to go to all the Disney worlds or Disneylands.
Yeah, all the Disney parks around the world.
Right, and then I was like, I'm so jealous. Hate you, or something like that. No, I didn't say hate you, I just said I'm jealous.
Because how else to get a guy to just be like, I hate you. So we actually started just kind of talking back and forth via Matches, just their email thing, their messaging thing, yeah.
Because they tell you not to
exchange emails
or
text,
phone numbers or anything. Don't do anything outside the Match.
That's more for safety, just so you don't have somebody else's.
Right, but you did give me your phone number to text you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I Googled him just to make sure he was real.
Make sure I wouldn't catfish him.
And I found his phone number on like a Scoutmaster phone list directory, and I'm like, okay, so he's real.
I'm legit.
Right. Gotta do your homework.
Yeah, you do in this day and age. You kind of do.
And then we went out. We met at a Chinese restaurant.
A Chinese restaurant, a dim sum place, Royal China.
That was at that time. It's moved, but now it was at that time in Doraville. But it was easy to spot you because you were the only non-Asian there.
Well, it's like she texted me and we're like, oh, let's meet at 10, which is like when they open because they get super busy on like Saturday or Sunday morning. She's like, I may be a little bit late after that. Late. So just go ahead and go in and get us a seat. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I don't have any clue what's going on here. I've never been to a dim sum place. I like Googled, what do you do at them? And they're like, oh, well, you order tea. And I'm like, well, I need to figure out what kind of tea we're going to order because they're going to ask me. And I'm not going to be like, I don't have any clue. So I ordered jasmine tea. And I was sitting at a table for like 2 or 4. And I kept looking at the door, waiting.
I was late. Yeah.
And I'm like, there's nothing but Asian people coming in.
I'm not
like,
very punctual.
Where is she? So then she finally comes in. I can see she's like rushing in because
Asian time.
She's late, yeah. And so I think she sees me and she's like, yep, only white guy in here, so that must be him.
Right.
And I'm very distinctive with my white hair and my glasses. And that was our first date. And after we ate, and I kept making fun of the food and like just
rude.
But you laughed.
Rude.
So we got along pretty well. She thought it was kind of weird because that was her first internet date.
Weird meeting someone on the internet in person.
Yeah, I guess since I had already been on a couple of dates, that I didn't think it was as strange, but it was just a little weird for you.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Since you had been married for 20 years and hadn't gone out with anybody else.
Right.
It was just kind of strange. Mm-hmm. So after we got through eating, she's like, oh, I'm going to the Chinese supermarket. Do you want to come? I'm like, sure, I guess, So I followed her over there. And of course we went through and I was making fun and making
everything
jokes
in the store
of all the weird pig parts that were frozen for sale.
It was a pretty authentic Asian supermarket.
Yeah. And so we get done, we're in the parking lot, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess we'll go our separate ways now, and I'm like, can I have a hug? And she just looked at me and goes, why?
I was like, I wanted to say no. so bad because I was like, I don't know you.
But she did consent to a very platonic hug.
Like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
All right, bye. See ya, bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we started texting more, and what was our second date? I don't remember what
Probably
our second...
breakfast, because at that time I worked night
that's
shift.
Right. She was working night shift. She worked like 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Yeah.
And we were having a hard time like trying to figure out when to see each other because I work during the day and she works at night.
And I work weekends.
And she works every other weekend, so.
Yeah.
So I think I said, well, why don't I come up for when you get off work, and I'll come up that morning, like a Saturday or Sunday morning, and we'll have breakfast, and then you can go home and go to bed, and then I'll go back home. I stay at the time. I live almost an hour away from where she lived. So that was a heck of a commitment to drive an hour to go have breakfast with her and then turn around.
Just breakfast.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
We just had breakfast. Our first breakfast was at Cracker Barrel.
Well, we did Cracker Barrel, IHOP, Waffle House.
Original Pancake House.
Yeah, it was mostly breakfast
Mostly
dates.
breakfast dates there for a while. And then she had already gotten a thing to go to Singapore.
Right, I had pre-booked the trip to Singapore in January, so I went by myself.
Right, because she had gotten divorced, she wasn't going to go with her ex, and nobody else really could go with her, so she went to Singapore for like 10 days by herself.
It was fun.
And she couldn't text, so she was sending me emails. We were emailing back and forth. And since the times are almost exactly flip-flopped,
12 hours.
It's like 12 hours ahead or behind or whatever. So when she's getting up in the morning, I'm about ready to go to bed and vice versa. So we would kind of look forward to our evening and morning emails back and forth. You know, she's telling me all the stuff she saw and things that were going on, and I was telling her stuff that was going on in the States, and here's what I'm up to, and so that was pretty cool. So then when she got back, I had already planned a trip to Paris like 2 months after that, I guess, 2 months later. And I was planning on going by myself because I was trying to hit Disneyland Paris. And I was going to stay at Disneyland Paris and then just like take the train into Paris to kind of see some things on my days I wasn't at the parks. And I was like, this would be much better if I was with somebody and we were actually doing more stuff in Paris. Because Disneyland Paris only has 2 parks and one of them's not very big. And we went, so I texted her or called her. I'm like, why don't you go with me to Paris?
I'm like, I don't know this dude, but okay.
Yeah. Oh, but we also went to Savannah. That was our second date.
That wasn't our second date. That was our first, like, trip date.
So after all the breakfasts, I was like, well, we need to go off for a weekend if you have a weekend free. I was like, why don't we go to Savannah? And she's like, I don't know you. It's like, are we getting 2 different rooms? I'm like, I'm paying for 2 rooms. It's like, I'll get 2 beds if that's, okay with you.
2 beds.
2 beds. Yeah, we had a long conversation driving from Atlanta to Savannah, which is about 4 hours. Learned a lot about her, peeled away some of those layers in that onion,
Right.
So yeah, we get there and we were gonna check in.
It was New Year's Eve.
It was New Year's Eve. Yeah, we were gonna go New Year's Eve.
We didn't book any restaurants, so it was crazy trying to find a place to eat.
Right, we couldn't check in yet because they were like so far behind getting rooms cleaned, and so we checked our luggage. We were staying at the Marriott or the Hyatt or something down on River Street. So we went just kind of walking around for a while because it kind of started raining. It was a nasty, ugly.
And I was like, it's cold. I want to go back to the room, and then maybe we'll go back out for the fireworks.
Well, no, we went back out again. Well, we went out before we got our room, and we just found this little place. We went down in the basement and had some drinks and some pork belly sliders.
On donuts.
Oh, yeah, on donuts. It was kind of weird.
Yeah.
So I guess we walked around long enough. We went back. They had our room ready. We checked in, kind of put our stuff away. We're like, we need to go have dinner because we just kind of had a snack to tide us over, the pork belly sliders. So we're both on our phones trying to find some place because we knew it was just going to be crazy everywhere.
Yeah, note to self, book something.
Book something in Savannah on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
So she found one place that was maybe a 5-10 minute walk from where we were.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, it was really crowded and like everybody was crunched in there,
yeah,
but the food was pretty good. We had a good time. It was just so loud it was hard to have a conversation.
Right. Then it got like cold and drizzly.
Cold and drizzly on the way back. So we went back to the room. We were gonna like get changed and figure out where to go back out to. But it was just so gross outside and nasty and cold. and she started watching Ridiculousness.
You know, look, I don't have cable, so like Ridiculousness is my thing. And I was like, let's just watch some of this. And here I am cracking up, and he's probably sitting there like,
I don't know how smart this girl is, if this is her guilty pleasure. So we had talked about going back out, and she was already kind of in her comfy clothes, and so we're like, I don't really want to go back out. It's cold, and it's drizzly, and I'm tired, and I'm like, I
was a party pooper.
Yeah, I'm not really a partier, especially like a New Year's Eve, like go out and drink and till 3 in the morning. No, that's just not me.
I was a party pooper. We probably should have got out because you took the time to do all that. In hindsight, I felt kind of bad because I was like, no, I'm gonna go to bed.
But I didn't really feel like I missed anything because I'm not a partier, so. So, she slept in her bed, I slept in my bed.
Say that again?
You slept in your bed,
right.
I slept in my bed. Yeah.
For my kids that are listening.
Now, a little after midnight, I think we switched it over to ABC to watch the Dick Clark thing.
Yeah, the New Year's Eve stuff. And then after the countdown, like lights out.
Pretty much. Well, I had gotten like dressed for bed, and she was already in bed, and it was a little after midnight, and so I'm like worked up the nerve, and I ran over and told her, I was like, Happy New Year, and like kissed her on the lip real quick. I couldn't say that. What?
Okay, yeah.
Why? That was a long time ago. Why is it weird? And I think she was shy, and then I like ran and jumped in my bed because I didn't want her to like smack me if she was offended.
I was like,
I think she was just in shock.
Beep.
So, but it was okay, So we slept in a little bit the next day, and then drove back, and
that was that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So then I decided that I had my Paris trip coming up, and I decided I wanted her to go with me. So we spent a week and a half in Paris, which was fun, in a round bed.
Oh, dear God.
We stayed at an Airbnb in Denfert, which is just south of Paris, like South Paris suburbs.
So he said, do research on the Airbnbs there. So I was kind of looking at apartments versus rooms, apartments, and then I found one that had like a circular bed. And I kind of sent it to him as a joke, and we ended up booking it.
Yeah. I'm like, that's cool, I like that. She's like, no, that
The bed didn't turn, though.
No, the bed did not turn. There were no mirrors on the ceiling.
It was round because the room was small.
The room was small, and they had to. It was almost like a little basement.
Right, so...
But it was actually a very cool apartment for Paris.
Right.
So upstairs had like a kitchen area and a little seating area, and then you went down these weird like half circular steps with no railing.
Built into the wall.
Yeah, because I guess the guy or the lady and the guy who owned it, the guy is like an architect or something.
Right.
And I think he designed this apartment because it's in the same building as where they are. They bought it and completely redid it.
But the downstairs was the bed, like a shower area, sink, and like a separate bathroom.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of space. But I mean, Paris apartments aren't going to have a lot of space unless you pay.
But it was nice that it was divided because you could go get your coffee or whatever without disturbing.
And tea. We drank a lot of tea while we were there. Had a lot of baguettes. Had a lot of eclairs. Had some really good food at Chez Papa. Yeah, if you're ever in Paris, eat at Chez Papa.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So got back from Paris. Kept dating. During the summer, we actually took a week-long trip. It was me and her mom and her 2 daughters.
Panama City Beach.
Yeah, Panama City Beach.
That's
we stayed in a
nice.
condo for a week. That was kind of cool. We got to all spend the week together. Her family got to know me a little better.
But we weren't planning on getting married.
No, we weren't planning on getting married at that point. So.
And then I tried to kill you in December.
You did try to kill me. We went to my Christmas party for my work, which was at the College Football Hall of Fame. And we stayed at the Omni at the CNN Center in downtown Atlanta. So...
Brad decides to pass out in the middle of the night and crack his head open, and I have to call 911. So that was,
yeah.
exciting.
So I wake up on the floor, and I have no idea what's going on. And she's on the phone with 911. They have to, ambulance come get me, take me to the trauma center. 4 staples in my head later.
And a nice concussion.
So... yeah, I think she decided at that point that she really didn't want to lose me, that she kind of wanted me around.
Or I wanted some sort of life insurance policy on him before
A good one, at least. So I recovered from that. We kept dating. I'd spent some time at her house. She would spend some time at my house. And then we just kind of... I think you broached the idea with me about had I thought about getting married.
Right, because I had to make plans, you know?
Yeah.
We weren't then, I had to make plans.
I mean, we had been dating for a year and a half at that point.
Right.
So she had kind of, you know, threw that idea out there. And I don't jump at anything. I think about everything. It's like I make pros and cons lists and I make spreadsheets and...
He says he had one on a pro and con spreadsheet when we were dating.
Yeah, I did, about whether or not we should keep dating or not. Like, hey, I'm Brian, and then you can go, and I'm Sarah.
This is Brian.
Are you gonna do that?
I don't know.
So hey guys, I'm Brian.
Sarah.
Ugh, you missed your cue.
Oh, okay, let's start
Yeah.
again.